I truly can't believe that I'm saying these words, but we're going to Antarctica. Antarctica has been one of the top destinations on my bucket list since I first picked up a camera. It's just always seemed like this magical mystery to me, the last truly untouched frontier of our planet. And honestly, I never thought I'd be able to see it with my own eyes. But earlier this year, I received an email from Poseidon Expeditions, a polar expedition company with decades of experience bringing travelers to the ends of the earth. And they invited me on a once-in-a-lifetime journey from Ushuaia, Argentina to the Antarctic Peninsula. It was the easiest yes of my entire life. So this expedition is a 10-day journey that'll take us from Ushuaia, Argentina, across the daunting waters of the Drake Passage towards the South Shetland Islands, and eventually to the White Continent itself, Antarctica. And I honestly don't know what to expect from this trip, but I'm just feeling so incredibly stoked and overwhelmed with gratitude to even have the opportunity to visit a place like this. I just feel so incredibly lucky. But like any other adventure, there are also a lot of variables. Like, will we get good weather? How bad will the Drake Passage be? Will we see any wildlife? What will Antarctica actually feel like? Well, I guess we'll find out. Our journey begins in Ushuaia, Argentina, the embarkation point for almost all Antarctica expeditions. This is the Sea Spirit, our collective home for the next week and a half. She typically holds about 114 passengers plus additional crew, but on this voyage, we only have 86 guests, which is quite intimate compared to many of the other ships that travel this route. And this is a huge upside that I'm going to cover a bit later in a future video. And for this journey in particular, we have a deluxe suite on the 5th deck, complete with a balcony. It's pretty nice, but honestly, we're not going to spend much time at all in the room, and I plan on spending every single moment I can out on deck, just soaking in this entire experience. Our expedition begins with a 6 p.m. departure from Ushuaia. I think this is when it finally hit me what a wild adventure we were going on. And it was heartwarming to see everyone so excited for the journey ahead. The light was absolutely beautiful as town began to disappear into the distance, with the mountains canvassed and a fresh snowfall from the day before. It's truly wild to think that this is the literal edge of the world, the southernmost land of the Americas. And to think, this is just the beginning for us. As we say goodbye to this continent, I'm filled with hope and awe for our forthcoming journey. But this feeling isn't without apprehension, as the Drake Passage lies ahead. If you've ever researched anything about a trip to Antarctica for yourself, you've probably come across the biggest deterrent to most travelers besides a financial commitment, and that is the Drake Passage. The Drake Passage is the meeting point between the Atlantic, Pacific, and Southern Oceans. a tumultuous stretch of water that separates the southern tip of South America from the northernmost reaches of Antarctica. And it's a rite of passage for almost everyone visiting the White Continent. Some travelers experience the Drake Lake, which is a relatively calm crossing which takes most ships about a day or so, although most everyone else experiences the Drake Shake. Thundering swells, whitecaps, and multiple days spent fighting seasickness. And while this might be a bit uncomfortable overall, I think it can make for a really memorable experience. One thing that was totally unexpected about our Drake crossing was the albatross following the wake of our ship for hours on end. These are some of the biggest birds in the entire world, with wingspans of the wandering albatross reaching up to 12 feet in diameter. Another thing to note with these polar expeditions, and especially if you're planning to book one for yourself, is that all itineraries are very flexible and are entirely dependent on weather and changing sea conditions. Our expedition staff is constantly monitoring for these variables in order to give us the best experience possible, and sometimes big changes need to be made to the initial plan. In our case, the weather forecast dictated that we skip over the South Shetland Islands and make our way all the way south to Port Charcot, which is about as south as we'll go on this expedition. After nearly 40 hours at sea, more icebergs begin to drift in and out of the fog. It's an incredibly beautiful and minimal scene amidst the falling snow to bear witness to these lonely giants set adrift. And then, all of a sudden, there it is, Antarctica, the White Continent. Our first view teases at the grand scale of this place without a full reveal, but it's magical. I must have been one of the first people awake on our ship, a quiet observer to this frozen world. Glaciated mountains dominate the landscape. They're unlike anything else I've ever seen. And just as I was about to head to breakfast, 2 orcas surfaced in the distance. It was an all too brief encounter, but certainly a reminder that we're not alone in this landscape. Ahead lies our first destination of the trip, Port Charcot. Set amidst the frozen wilderness of the Gerlache Strait, this rugged outpost is named after the legendary French polar explorer Jean-Baptiste Charcot. Charcot, a visionary of his time, laid the foundation for Antarctic exploration in the early 1900s, and first visited here in 1904 aboard his ship Pourquoi Pas, which translates to why not in English. Port Charcot is also home to an extensive Gentoo penguin population, something I was incredibly excited about as I've never seen penguins before. And after a short Zodiac ride through the ice, leaving the sea spirit behind for our first time, we landed ashore. And standing only a few meters from our landing site was this cute little Gentoo, my first penguin, if you will. Renowned for their vibrant personalities, Gentoo penguins boast distinctive orange beaks, white feather caps, and striking black markings, creating a captivating spectacle against the pristine Antarctic backdrop. These social birds form lively colonies along the Antarctic Peninsula and sub-Antarctic islands. Their population is estimated to be around 380,000 breeding pairs of the cutest animals you've ever seen. As I observe the Gentoos in their natural habitat, an overwhelming sense of privilege washes over me. This is a world apparently untouched by time, a sanctuary where life thrives against all odds. The Gentoos, with their comical yet purposeful movements, embody the resilience required to survive in this unforgiving yet beautiful environment. From the high point of our landing site, the views are unbelievable. It's a truly overwhelming beauty unlike anything I've ever experienced. Our distant ship and its explorers below finally provide a remarkable sense of scale to this place. But it's this young Gentoo that stole the entire show for me, watching him undertake his journey from nest to sea. Though it wasn't without adversity, as he stumbled time and time again. Yet even in these moments of apparent vulnerability, there lies a heartening display of bravery. The Gentoo, despite its awkward dance with the elements, presses forth. And finally, at the water's edge, our defining moment arrives. But our Gentoo hesitates as others take the dive. And suddenly, after a subtle pause that we take together to reflect on today's journey, a leap of faith.